Hi, I'm Shelley Samone, and this is She's Arrived, a journey of self discovery. But this isn't just small talk. Here, we go deep with stories and conversations with people who have found their thing and through it have stepped into their calling. Hey, it's Shelley. Glad you answered the call. Listen, stepping into your calling is not for the faint of heart. Some people see your purpose as a threat. Even when you're just doing your thing by doing it publicly, you become a target. And take it from me, it comes with the territory. During the other calls, I mentioned how I first started doing my thing publicly by sharing my travel experiences throughout Asia on social media. This alone made me a target way before I felt called to encourage travel as an avenue for self discovery. One of the silliest attacks that I received was that I was delusional for creating travel content and that I am not who I think I am. This was a wake up call for me, but not in the way that I'm sure it was intended to be. It took me back to when I first found my thing. To pursue it, I moved from my city here in Chicago to go to school in NYC, where I majored in psychology. One of the degree requirements was to pass a course in statistics. Now, if you've ever had to take statistics in college, then you know how intimidating it can be, at least for most people. Everyone talked about how hard it was and how much weight a good grade held when applying for graduate school. I wasn't even considering graduate school at the time, but I was determined to get an A just to stay on the dean's list. Finals came around, which I believe the professor said accounted for like 50% of our grade. It was the first time I actually got a tutor to help me. So you can imagine how my mouth dropped when I saw that big red F on my final exam. Under it, my professor wrote, "Where'd you get your answers?" And this offended me because I felt like he was trying to say that I cheated. I walked up to his desk and was like, "What do you mean, where did I get my answers?" He said, "Where's the work?" I rushed back to my desk and grabbed my statistics book. That's where I had the scratch paper, where I had worked out the problems. He barely looked at it, then said, "Remember, the answers don't mean anything unless you can show how you got there." I got my A in statistics, but I guess I hadn't learned the lesson because once I was accused of not being who I think I am, I could scroll through my Instagram and hear my professor saying, "I see the photos of you in Ireland, but you failed to show the correlation between hanging out with the locals in a pub in Dublin and being on a writer's retreat. Yes, you did travel throughout Asia, but how'd you get there? At least let the photos tell the story of how you were teaching English in Shanghai while pursuing your master's degree in creative writing." Look, no one's impressed with the photos of you in London, Amsterdam, and Brussels. Show me that you were in Paris for the summer, studying French and globalization. That's how you demonstrate your understanding of the assignment. I had to admit, I was in part responsible for the impression other people had of me. I didn't show how travel had been an avenue for developing my affinity for expressing myself through words or experimenting with ways to share my personal experiences. And I didn't emphasize how stepping outside of my comfort zone and immersing myself in foreign cultures and customs helped me to discover my individuality, exercise my strengths, and most important, drop the fake it till you make it lifestyle I lived before I set out on my journey. I had found myself, even if fragmented, throughout North America, Europe, and Asia, not to mention Africa. But it was easy to try to discredit me because I had only shown the most glamorous, but not the most essential parts of my travel experiences. Maybe you did share the not so glamorous aspects of your journey and in real time, but that doesn't mean people didn't try to undermine you. Like people with the bootstrap mentality who think you have to come from nothing and get it all by yourself. That's not my story. And still, I own my decisions, despite how much support I had in carrying them out. Maybe you don't feel like you had any help at all, or I take that back because No one man is an island, but maybe you're the underdog who beat the odds, right? That's admirable. But even if you got through college on a full ride, or maybe you always knew who you were, since you were a child, you've had a vision for your life. What matters is your capacity to do your thing in a way that makes a positive contribution in the lives of others. So let them have their cliches. It's not the destination, it's the journey, or it's not the destination or the journey, it's the company. Because those of us who have done the inner work, whether we had external support or not, no, it's not the journey or the company. It's the calling that makes it impossible to deny. She's arrived.